I want to kind of
That's great.
close the door on the Boston experience. So you end up losing in six to Detroit in 1991. You lose
Mm-hmm.
to Cleveland the next
Mm-hmm.
year. Bird retires.
Yep.
McHale
Yep.
retires. Reggie tragically passes. And you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned there was this perfect setup for this bridge of eras that doesn't happen. And in the mid
Right.
90s, I would think that the team and the organization is probably just a little bit lost because again, Reggie Lewis
Yeah.
passes
Huh.
7,
Yeah.
8 years
Mhm.
before that. Len Bias passes. I want you
Yeah.
to bring us inside the locker room or however you communicated with teammates when Rick Pitino gets the job as coach,
Ooh.
as GM, as president.
Right.
And so much has been talked about this. Obviously, Pitino tries to implement what he did at Kentucky, full court
Right.
presses, tape practices, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of running. At what point did you realize that this was not going to work?
Well, I'm gonna go back to to me, the end of the era
Sure.
is when Reggie passed away,
Mhm.
and we'll start from there and we'll work our
Sure.
way up. When Reggie passed away, uh, like I said, I got brought into being the face of the franchise, being the A, 1A player. And listen, after that, I had some really, really good years, averaged like 16 and a half
Yep.
points a game. I had a chance to make the All-Star game, I had some good years. We got to the playoffs and lost. Chris Ford got fired.
Mhm.
Then ML Carr came. Um, but those, my best basketball years were my worst mental years
Mm.
because I was in a fog because of Reggie.
Mhm.
I couldn't get past. I think that year after he passed, I don't remember that year. Like honestly, people ask me like, you don't remember? I said I don't remember a game. I remember playing. I
Mhm.
remember doing very well. I remember having 40-point games here and 40 points games here, but I don't remember the season. Um, and I just felt empty and lost for a whole season because there's nothing you can prepare for losing a teammate out of the blue. A guy retiring, a guy gets traded. Okay, you can revamp, but a franchise player, not every loss is important,
Mhm.
but in the basketball schemes of the franchise, when you lose a player like that, that's a that's an 8 to 10 year recovery period. It was a 5 to 7 year recovery period when Lenny passed away, and then the Reggie came like, okay, woo, we got it back, and then he goes and he passes away. So all of a sudden, all eyes on Dee Brown, and it was tough. It was hard. Had some great years, and then obviously, we got really bad. And the year it was so bad, I remember this year, um, before Rick Pitino came. I think there were 8 guys on that team that wasn't even in the NBA the next year.
Hmm.
That's
Mm.
how that's how that's how bad our team was.
Mm.
Like as far as talent, because we were like we weren't tanking. We just wasn't good.
Tank for 10.
Like,
There was no tank for Duncan.
hold on, we couldn't tank. We wasn't that good. Like it wasn't even the best we could play was losing. like we, we really wasn't that good. And that's not a knock on those guys because I was part of it as well. I was part of it as well. So I take responsibility for losing games
Mhm.
and not being uh, uh, what the Celtics fans deserved at that during the course of their history of sports. So I was really the bridge of the old Celtics and the new Celtics. I was the last one left. Everybody was gone. I was the only one to play with Bird, and then Mikhail and Paris for and then obviously Reggie, and then the new Celtics with Tino got there, and then started obviously revamping the team and organization, and you know pushing Red out and bringing all the Kentucky guys in, and that was
Mhm.
tough. That was tough because I was there and I understood the history. I lived the history. I was in the old Boston Garden. I used to spend time with Red and Sat Sanders and Heinzen and Kuzi and Havlicek and DJ and Casey
Mhm.
Jones. I mean, I could name guys that was at our practice every day. Every day, these guys were at practice every day. And for a guy like Rick to come in and really want to just wipe that out, that bothered me. Like that bothered me more than anything. You don't just
Had to.
dismiss. You don't dismiss 50, 60 years of history because you're trying to change it to be what you are. You kind of you
And
make
keep
it
it a buck.
yours.
And keep it a buck. Do you bringing
Yes,
these Kentucky
yeah,
dudes in here? You know what
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it was very, very. To me, I felt insulted because I was a captain at that time.
Mm.
I felt a little bit insulted that we just going to dismiss all these years of greatness. And Red Auerbach, who's been the patriarch of this organization forever from day one, you're going to just kind of like push him aside.
So he
That
pushed.
kind of stuff.
So because I think it's a little bit unclear. Maybe it's been written like Red was very
He
outspoken to
took his
the.
title. He took his title. So
Well,
Red's always the president.
but Red was outspoken and saying this is what I want to happen. I want Pitino. He's my guy. But was that just, do you think, to try and be a good teammate, quote unquote?
I want you to look at the first 2 seasons of our year Pitino was there and see how many games Red was at. Red never missed a game. Never missed a game. And then once all the Pitino stuff came, you know, I think it's not that he so much pushed him out. He just didn't gather input from him, or you know, I don't want to say blessings, because Red still was sharp. Red still had a basketball mind. Red still had contacts. Red still understood the game, and it was kind of like I said. It was just kind of a clear cut separation of old Celtics and this is what we're doing now. And that's hard. That's a very, very hard pill to swallow. Yeah. Maybe I just was stubborn. Maybe I didn't want to see it because I was part of the old regime. But it was, I mean, listen, it became, you know, and I'm sure you've heard of other people. It became a college environment. Like, you know, like you said, we taped for shoot-arounds. You know, we couldn't wear our sweatpants when it was, you know, cold. You know, we're pressed all the time. You know, we had 3.5-hour practices. You know, it was a lot. Especially being the 8-year, at that time I was 8-year veteran, you know, still part of the, you know, the Celtics, and and I never ever thought I would ever not play for the Celtics. I thought I was going to be retired there. And you know, again, I was the last one there. So I knew the writing was on the wall. You know, like Johnny said, start bringing the Kentucky guys in, start changing the way he wanted to play. Remember, and this is one thing about Rick Pitino, that dude knows how to coach. I would not. You talk about coach, you talk about knows the game, a student, a mastermind. Like, he was like a maniac coach. He was great. There's not a guy who was more prepared, more insightful, had passion for the game than Rick Pitino. It was the other stuff that people had problems with Rick with, you know, the ego, or, you know, this is my team and you're just here to play for me. So there's a lot of other things that rub people the wrong way who are former Celtics or part of the organization. You know, the things that, you know, obviously transpired along the way while he was there. That was more than anything. It wasn't his basketball acumen. It was the other stuff that kind of rubbed people the wrong way. And, you know, like, I remember, like, my last game ever in the ball, in at that time it was the TD Garden, whatever they called it then. But my last home game before I got traded, I ended up breaking Larry Bird's 3-point record, the most threes in the game. I hit 8 or 9. I forgot the number. 8 or 9 in the game, and I broke his record. And that was the first time in about probably 5 or 6 years that people chanted my name, D. And I was like, man, I'm back. Like, I feel like I'd be a part of this organization. You know, Rick is going to trust me. You know, I just broke Bird's record with the most threes in the game. We go to All-Star break, I come back and get traded. So that was literally my last game in Boston. So basically, he's like, thank you for showing that you can still play, so I can get rid of your ass. Like,
man, facts.
No, but I remember when I got traded, we were on a road trip, you know, and we were on a West Coast road trip. I think we played Sacramento. I didn't play. Then, but you remember, I just had a great game.
Yeah.
Like, I just scored 30-some points. I was like, you know, I'm back in the rotation. You know, we're on a road trip playing Sacramento, and I don't play, and Chauncey Billups don't play. And Chauncey's a rookie. You know, I gotta say,
first top 10 pick, top 3 pick.
The third pick of the draft. And Chauncey's like, man, we're not playing. I go, Chauncey, we got traded. He's like, no, we didn't. I go, I've been around a long time. Dude. We just got traded. So we get on the bus. We went to Vancouver at the time. The Grizzlies were in Vancouver still. So we get on the bus. You know, they're talking to Chauncey. They don't talk to me, but I kind of knew I'm part of this deal somewhere. I don't know where we're going. We get to the hotel in Vancouver. wake up the next morning, there's a note under my door
Mm.
says, "Don't come to the bus. You've been traded." That's how I got told I got traded after spending 8 years with the Celtics
Mm.
by Rick Pitino and that group. That's the part that hurt me.
Was it a
Like,
handwritten note?
I don't know who handwritten. I don't think Rick wrote it. Maybe he did. I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't save it.
Damn, that's
I
like
think I burned it.
that's like
Yeah,
the
I would have
1990.
flushed that right in the toilet.
Yeah,
That's like
yeah, and that was hurtful. That was
Yeah.
the hurtful part about the whole thing. I respect Rick. I think, like I said, I think he's a great coach. A great steward for the game of stuff he's done in college, and people talk about all the other stuff, but those type of things that you remember.
You do.
I mean, I was, you know,
20, yeah.
8-year veteran in the league. Was captain of the Celtics. For 5 years. After Larry and Chief retired, I was the captain of the Celtics. So you feel like you earned a little bit more respect than that. So that was tough. Like that was a tough stretch. And the '90s basically kind of gets forgotten. It really does. It's funny. We talk about the '90s Celtics, and it goes from Bird retiring, Brady passed away, to Paul Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
So
And nobody talks about the years in between because they're pretty lean, to be honest.
So the crazy thing, and we talked about this, is that Bias passes, Reggie passes, and Pierce comes like an inch away from dying.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes.
It's the curse of the small forwards in Boston or something like that.
But that was different. That was a different type of almost
Situation.
different situation. But yeah, you said that, and it's crazy because I didn't play with Paul. I got traded the year before Paul got there. I played with Antoine, and so that was obviously Rick Pitino's first year when Antoine was there as a rookie. And Antoine was special. Like he was like if he played his era right now, he would be great because he was the first guy that there was like shooting a ton of threes, a ton of threes, as a small forward, power forward. But yeah, that segment between '93 and '98, that 5 years was a very difficult time in Celtics history. I'm very honest with that, and I'm very honest about myself of what I tried to accomplish. I know it's very skewed, but I'll hold every offensive record in the '90s in Celtics history, like points scored, assists, steals, free throws. Like I'll hold a lot of the records in the '90s. But again, it's a little skewed. Reggie passed away, Bird retired, Pierce didn't get there to '98. So, but I spent a lot of time, my first 8 years of my career in Boston, and my last 5 years, wasn't the greatest as far as on the court. But I did accomplish a lot of things off the court with my relationships with people, family, friends, community stuff like that, and building a relationship there. Because I can still go back. I can still go back to Boston, and people still felt that I gave all I could give.
For sure.
Regardless of the Rick Pitino situation, or us being so bad, winning. I think we won 15 games the year before we got in the Duncan sweepstakes.
Yep.
And we ended up getting 3 and 5. It was Chauncey and Ron Mercer.
Shout out Ron. Both class
of
'95.
My guy.
Yeah.
Yes, my guy Ron Mercer. So, and you look at it, Chauncey Billups, the 3rd pick in the draft, ended up being a world champion, MVP. Now he's coaching the Portland Trailblazers. I got a chance to be around him a lot. After his career, as well. Like you love those stories. You love those stories. So it wasn't all bad. It wasn't all bad.
You gotta look at it and kind of laugh sometimes. I guess getting traded from a handwritten note is probably like the 1998 version of getting broken up by text or something.
Yeah. I'll find out on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.